I finally get it. I've always been baffled at how many people spend over 100,000 euros on an SUV that's perfectly capable off-road, but they tend to just bring their kids to and from school. Well, today, after finally driving the new Range Rover Sport, I understand it, and I just realised that it was me being silly, not them. I mean, just look at how beautiful it is, the powertrain, the comfort, the ride, the seats. It really is exceptional. Today we're going to be reviewing the all-new Range Rover Sport and just seeing all the different technology that it offers. And bear in mind throughout this review, this is the entry-level one. It's the Dynamic SE, and it's not spec to the nines, so it's a very real-world review. My name's David OC, this is the DoneDeal YouTube channel. I apologise for how dirty the car is. That's the reality of living in Ireland. Now let's get into the review. This is the third generation Range Rover Sport, and if the first two are anything to go by, then be prepared to see quite a lot of these. Now, in terms of prices, well, they start at about 114,000 euros and they go all the way up to over 220,000 euros. However, the reality is they come very well spec'd as standard, and something like this one here, which only costs about 124 grand, is absolutely perfect. And also, just look at it. In terms of different spec or trims, there are a couple of options. Dynamic SE is the entry level, then there's Dynamic HSE, first edition, and then of course the autobiography. Truth be told, I actually think just the Dynamic SE with maybe some bigger upgraded alloys, which we've got here and we'll talk about in a short moment's time, is probably the way to go. But let's talk about engines, because this is where it gets really interesting. Engine wise, you can kind of get whatever suits you. There's everything from plug-in hybrids to diesels to a 4.4 litre petrol that's just ridiculously over 500 horsepower. Now this engine here, this is the P440e, and the great thing about this one is it's a plug-in hybrid, and I can't believe I'm going to say it, but it's probably the one to go for. The reason being is it's substantially cheaper than a diesel, about 43,000 euro cheaper than an equivalent diesel, which is staggering, and that's all to do with the Irish taxation system on cars, VRT and likes. Now, this is a 3 litre 6-cylinder petrol engine, and that's paired with quite a sizable battery, 38.1 kilowatt hours. That is nearly the same size battery as you get in a Nissan Leaf, so definitely capable of quite a lot of range. In fact, the claimed range is over 100 kilometers. Real world, when I collected this with 100% charge, 93 kilometers. On electricity alone, that is very, very impressive. Now, it's the P440e, so with that it's 440 PS, which is about 433 horsepower. You can actually get a higher output plug-in hybrid, which is called the 510e or the P510e, and that has 510 PS, so about 500 horsepower. That thing, I can imagine, is very quick. Then on the diesel side, there's a 3 litre 6-cylinder diesel engine, and that you can get with 300 or 350 horsepower. That could be attractive to people who maybe want to claim back the VAT on their diesel. Otherwise, I actually can't really see the point in it. And then there is just the good old-fashioned petrol engine, and with that you can get a 3 litre, about 400 horsepower version, or you can get the full-blown 4.4 litre, which is 500 odd brake horsepower. Probably a little bit overcompensating if you go for that. The other thing I'm going to say is, if you can get a plug-in hybrid that's nearly the same power as the 4.4 litre, you're probably better off getting the plug-in hybrid. In terms of boot space, well, the space doesn't really matter. It's more about the functionality of it. Obviously, tailgate comes as standard. Now in here, it's, as I said, plenty roomy. I really like this little addition. You can actually put your shopping here so it doesn't fall all over the boot. And again, really easy to use. If you want to fold the seats in front of you, you just do it here at a button. How insane is that? And then my favorite feature of all is, if this is just a little bit too high for you, not to worry, you just press the button. I mean, how cool is that? There must be nearly a foot in travel there. So how did this one go from 114,000 euros to 124,000 euros? Well, there's a couple nice extras on this, and actually a few of them I definitely tick. The first is the Santoroni black paint. I want to formally apologise to Land Rover Ireland. When I picked this car up, and this morning it was spick and span, beautifully clean, tyre polish and everything. However, this is the reality of driving a black car on Irish roads in the winter. Second to that, it has these 22-inch alloy wheels. These are about 1,700 euro. Very much worthwhile, I think. They really lift the whole car, and actually to drive, they're very smooth. And then on the inside, there's a panoramic sunroof that does open up, but that costs 3,300 euros. So in here, another extra that I definitely think worth speccing is the heated steering wheel. 360 euro, I think. Very much worth it. Lovely on cold mornings. And actually another one that's maybe a little bit gimmicky, but it is quite cool, is the mirror here. So for about 890 euro, you can make this mirror work as a video camera. It sounds gimmicky, and maybe it is, but actually it's been really enjoyable to use, and it's just kind of a little bit cool, and it adds to the whole feeling in here that we discuss when we're driving. The interior in here is pristine. It is the definition of luxury. Everything you touch feels very, very premium, and it just looks gorgeous. I really like the kind of black and white separation. One thing I'll say is fake tan on the ladies might rub off here, but as a whole it's lovely. Big, deep storage. You've got the split glove boxes over there, the engine's after turning on, and then there's just this beautiful screen which works so well. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connects up automatically, and normally you think these screens a little bit confusing, but it's very easy. You can click into your EV mode and you can actually select to drive an only EV, or you can save electricity for later. Right now I've actually got zero range because I drove 300 kilometers this morning, and then you can do all the different things, like you can change your ride height. It's just brilliant. Your climate control then is separate down here, and it works really easily. And I love the kind of real nice attention to detail, the way you push it down to turn on your heated seats, and then you pull it all the way up to change your blower. So it's just really good, and you have another brilliant screen here. The seat is so comfortable. This is, I think, the most impressive part about this car is the seat is just staggeringly comfortable. You can go in here and adjust it on the infotainment, or you can use these buttons here. But let's go for a drive, because the first thing I want to show you is the camera. So this 3D camera is absolutely brilliant. You can see the cars from all angles, but you can even check the off-road camera, and this is where it's really cool. So I can see ahead of me, but then I can also have a look underneath. So if I'm doing some wild off-road stuff, I can see where the rocks are they underneath me, which is really cool. And that's the thing about this car. It might be called a Range Rover Sport, but it's built on the same chassis as the ordinary Range Rover. It's the same length, so in the rear there's loads of space, and it's very capable off-road. Unfortunately, I'm not going to test that today. The reality is very few people who ever own one will take it off-road, but it's nice to know that it is the ultimate off-roader. Now, once we have it out on the open road, the first thing I'll say is you can drive it in fully electric mode, and to be honest, around town that's the solution, and it's so smooth, so quiet, and it just gives you a very, very luxury drive. And I've noticed, driving this for the last couple of days, it gives you a sense of zero urgency. You just want to slow down and enjoy the drive. The air suspension is magnificent. It glides over any speed bumps around town. And then if you do want to put a little bit more power in it, you can change the mode. And again, you can see there's loads of different modes, everything from wading through water to being on some sand. But we're going to put it in dynamic mode here. And dynamic mode just stiffens up that suspension, and then it uses the petrol engine and the electric motor, and it becomes pretty quick. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in about 5.8 seconds, which is quick in a car this big. And it's actually very, very responsive. This 430 PS or 440 PS is more than enough for the everyday driving. And then on top of that, when you're on the motorway, when you're on a long drive, this morning for example, you just put on the adaptive cruise control. It's really easy to use on the right hand side of your steering wheel. You can also use the lane assist, which is a beautifully set up lane assist. It's not too sensitive, but it keeps you centered in your lane in a really nice and kind of elegant way. It really is just the car for everyone. I think the standout feature for me as I'm driving it is just the way it wafts along the road, and this seat is just glorious. Now in terms of towing, because the chances are if you're buying one of these then you're probably interested in that, because you'll probably have a boat for the weekends and you'll definitely have a horse, so you'll need to be towing a horse box. The towing capacity is 3 tons, which is absolutely loads. You'll be able to tow a few horses at that actually, and it's got 620 Newton meters of torque, and when you put your foot down on a straight road like that, you can really feel it pick up. Space in the rear is brilliant, and that's down to it being the same size as the normal Range Rover. The only thing that isn't ideal is you can't get 7 seats. So if you want a third row seats back there, you're going to have to get the good old-fashioned Range Rover. Unfortunately, the Sport isn't going to be for you. Just as I'm turning around here, I want to give a shout out to the turning circle. I thought because this is a massive SUV, there'd just be no way it would take turns well. But around town, you can nip in and out of parking spots very easily. And with the aid of those cameras, it actually is a very user-friendly car. I'm going to say right now, if you're thinking about getting this, just do it. It's so good. It's absolutely exceptional. As I said at the beginning of the video, I now get it. Why would you spend over 100 grand on a Range Rover? Well, because it will make you feel exceptional. It is fabulous on a long journey, and it also just looks so good. Now, I've never really been a huge fan of the SUVs, but this just changes things for me. And I can't say it enough. I understand why people are buying them. And trust me, one day, if I can buy one, I'll be the first person knocking on Land Rover's door. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this review. I hope you've learned something from it. If you've any questions, as there's so much to talk about that no doubt we forgot to mention something, then feel free to comment below. And if you have enjoyed the video, then please make sure to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.